Hey everyone, it's Jay Wolf here again. Today I'm going to be jumping into something a little different than what I've been doing. And it's another thing that I'm really passionate about the whole process, from the writing, the screenplay, the acting, just the overall general process. And that's kind of a television outlet, which would that be movies, TV shows, even video games, which can depict a storyline and really have kind of a cinematic way about them. That's another thing I want to start getting more up, and I actually just saw a midnight showing of The Dark Knight Rises, and that's what I'm going to be going over today, my impressions and how I feel about the whole movie. And this movie was actually directed by Christopher Nolan, which also did the other two, The Batman Begins and then The Dark Knight, which was also a really popular. It was one of my favorite movies of that year. Especially, there was some great acting in there. You had Heath Ledger, who unfortunately passed away, but he did some great acting in there. You had Aaron Eckhart, who was also in there, who was excellent performance. And overall, just it was a very well directed and shot movie. So when I was going into The Dark Knight Rises, I was kind of suspicious on where it might go. But back to Christopher Nolan, he also did Inception, and one of his earlier movies, which is a really good movie. It's different, is Memento. He also was a director in that. So going on The Dark Knight Rises, I had high expectations, especially compared to The Dark Knight, which was such a great movie. And going into it, I wasn't really sure. I know this was supposed to be a final take on it. I'm going to try to avoid any spoilers, because you can really, there's a lot that goes on, especially in the last 15 minutes of this show. But basically, we're following Batman again, Bruce Wayne. It's a little different than what we're used to. This is a really dark movie. It starts out, it's not the most entertaining. It's not, if you compare it to, let's say, The Avengers, which is a fun thrill ride the whole entire way out, you're having a great time. This is a really dark, deep, I mean, you're not having a lot of fun. You're really getting beat down as you're watching this. It's great. I really love this. Well, I wouldn't say I love it. I really like this movie. It could have maybe been a little bit shorter. It's about 2 hours and 45 minutes, I believe. So it's a pretty long movie. But it's a great movie that I really did enjoy it. Especially the last, I'm not going to ruin it, but the last 10 or 15 minutes is friggin' awesome. It might be some of the best 10 to 15 minutes of just at the end of a movie that I've ever seen, ever. It's a great, I'm not I'm more of a Marvel guy with the Avengers, but it's a great, and Iron Man and characters like that. But it's a great ending to Batman, and it, you know, might not be an ending. Who knows? You'll have to check it out to find out. But we have some new characters in here. Tom Hardy is actually Bane. And he actually does a really great job. He's a really, you really fear the guy from the beginning. He's a really strong, deep, from the whole mask thing. I don't know if it's that, and the guy's, I mean, he's a larger guy, but he's a really dark character that you really fear throughout the whole entire show. And then you got Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who, I'm trying to think of his most recent movie was 50-50. He was in 50-50 with Seth Rogen, which was a great movie. He's really a great actor. He's been in a lot of great. He was in Inception, which was directed by Christopher Nolan, and he was in 50-50, 500 Days of Summer. He's in some really great movies. And Anne Hathaway actually plays Catwoman. And she depicts Catwoman. This is the best I've seen Catwoman ever played before. It's exactly what you would expect coming from the comic to the actual movie theater on what Catwoman is like. It's a great story. Like I said, it's a little long. I noticed that there wasn't a lot of combat or fighting, especially compared to The Dark Knight. There's not a whole lot of, or the Avengers, if you compare it to the Avengers, it really depicts a story, and you really have to pay attention. It's a deep, deep story that you need to watch. Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, especially The Dark Knight. Just, you know, that's a great movie you can watch more than once. Catch up on that before you go in and watch this, because it plays off that. You really need to have seen that to catch some of the stuff that goes on here. But it's a great. The only flaw that I saw a little bit was that it was a little lengthy, and it wasn't quite. I don't think, even though there's some great acting in there, it wasn't quite as well acted as The Dark Knight, which had breakaway performances. I mean, compared to The Dark Knight, which had some great performances from Heath Ledger, probably one of the best depictions of the Joker, that just perfect, nail in the head, dead on. Similar in The Dark Knight Rises with Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. It's just perfect. You couldn't have had the character act any more what you actually think they would be like coming straight from the comic book. Aaron Eckhart's another name that stuck out in The Dark Knight, and we can kind of replace that with Tom Hardy as Bane. I'm not sure if it was so much the acting as from Tom Hardy as the Bane character. It was really as much as the Bane character, which the Bane character, he's just a scary, scary creature. Scary guy throughout the whole entire, you fear him. I mean, I don't know if Batman feared him, but I sure did throughout the show. And that's only a few things that I could see kind of maybe there's a few flaws here and there, especially after I just saw it. So I'm not going to spoil the end of it, but the last 10 or 15 minutes is freaking amazing. I mean, it was, like I said, I probably won't be able to sleep tonight. It's like 3 in the morning right now, but it's just well, perfect, well scripted. It's shot fairly well. I'm not really sure. It doesn't have that Prometheus stylized feel to it, but it's shot exactly how you would think it would be. Not a whole lot of CG in it. Everything feels model-like and real. There's not really a whole lot of times where I thought, man, this is fake, this is CG, like Transformers, for example. A lot of that was CG, and you could tell that, I mean, it wasn't real at all. Here, everything feels real. It doesn't have that CG kind of fakey vibe. But overall, I would say this isn't quite on my. This is probably probably my top 3 of the year. The Avengers, it's still, for me, I think it has a little bit of deeperness to it than the Avengers, and even though at the end of the Avengers I felt amazing. It was a great, amazing experience. The last 15 minutes in this, The Dark Knight Rises, hands down, it just blows you out of the water. Go see it for that last 10 or 15 minutes. If you're slightly interested in Batman, you're going to love it. So when I say this concludes Christopher Nolan's depiction of Batman, I would say definitely does. It probably lives up to about the same hype as The Dark Knight did. Great, has some similar. The last 10 or 15 minutes, I know I've said this probably at least 10 times, but puts it on probably the top list of all the Batmans that have been released. And it's definitely worth going and seeing in the theaters. I don't usually go to the theaters a lot to see a lot of movies, but this year, I mean, with the Avengers, Prometheus, which I'm a big Ridley Scott fan, so that might be a reason there. But between that and then this, I haven't seen Spider-Man yet, but I do plan on seeing that. But Spider-Man isn't really a character that I drew a connection to. So, but I would definitely check out The Dark Knight Rises. It's well worth it. Go check it out, and that's it. See you later.